Strings running fast and crushing dreams. Who's gonna win the big shiny rings? Behind the doors they're getting brief. It's so clear to see. Everything might seem so bright, but you can't be under the lights without being behind the scenes. There's another game being played. It ain't always what it seems. Judges watching up from the thrones. Who's the next king who throw the stones? If you swear on the Bible, then let's settle this on the court. We'll add up the scores and see the reality they distort. Nice try, the ball don't lie. People think it's a fair game, and they actually believe this. Show us what you got. Take the ball and shoot your shot. Give it a try. It's swish or miss. The ball don't lie. When you look at the numbers, something seems off. When you learn to geometry, you laugh and scoff. Nice try. The ball don't lie. Heroes rise, but really they fall. Because there are big shots making the call. Trophies shine, but it's all for a die. In the game of the all-seeing eye, the ball don't lie. Ball don't lie. The truth is hidden in the stats. What are the odds of that? They cheer and cry for every move, but who's really in control of the groove? Betting odds control the game. Fans believing it's just plain. Truth is hidden in plain sight. There's more going on under the lights. When you look at the numbers, something seems off. When you learn to geometry, you laugh and scoff. Nice try, the ball don't lie. Heroes rise, but really they fall. Because there are big shots making the call.
Hey, Coffee.
Trophies shine, but it's all for a die. In the game of the all-seeing eye, the ball don't lie.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Sports are rigged, they say. The games they play every day, so obvious.
Mic
and
check.
It's getting dumber. The truth hides in the numbers. They cheer, they cry for every move, but who's in control of the groove? Puppet strings, yeah, they're tight. Swish or miss all through the night. Crowds roll loud in the stands. Cheer for all the hidden hands behind the great display. It's like actors in a play. Contracts read like old scripts. Money talks, makes big flips. Victory so like false gold. Repeated stories retold unfold. When you look at the numbers, something
We're about to get
seems off.
started.
When you learn to geometry, you laugh and scoff.
Happy Tuesday, everybody.
The ball don't lie. Heroes rise, but really they fall. Because there are big shots making the call. Trophies shine, but it's all for a die. In the game of the all-seeing eye, the ball don't lie. Puppet strings, pull them tight. Every move in plain sight. Games are played behind screens. Nothing's really as it seems. Ball don't lie.
Solo.
The ball don't lie. Ball don't lie. Ball don't lie.
Welcome back, ballers, to another episode of the Balll Don't Lie channel. Thank you guys so much for joining. This is a rare one for me, doing a stream in the middle of the day. Typically, I'm a night owl. I will see you guys again tonight on Eye to Eye with AJ, Rambo, and Cody. Like I always say, Tuesday nights are the best night of the week. But thank you guys for hanging out with me. I was debating doing either a recorded video or doing a late night stream, but it got so late last night for those that were watching this game. Going into 18 innings, it was a tie in MLB history for the longest World Series game in history, dating back to 2018, which also included the Dodgers, who won 3-2, beating the Red Sox. But besides the point, I turned the game on as I started coding, and sure enough, the game just would not end. And I was working on some, short reels and some images and whatnot, just touching on one hell of a night that we had on the Patreon, that's for sure. Arguably one of my best. And we're going to go through the notes that I shared about last night's game and just how creepy and how on point all of these things were that we talked about yesterday on the Patreon. So I'll open by saying congrats to the winners who took advantage of riding with Freddie Freeman. Was not an official pick, and I'll show that in the notes, but Shohei and Alejandro Kirk, I mean, my goodness, both of those rituals played out before the fourth inning, or in the fourth inning. And then sure enough, Shohei ended up hitting 2, and so on and so forth. So we'll dive right into it. Thank you guys for the thumbs up, letting me know that you guys can hear me okay. Thank you all for joining. Incognito, Coffee Girl, Steven, good to see all of you. Really appreciate it. I saw Steven in the comments last night once that game was really popping off. So these are all screenshots from last night's Patreon page. As you guys can see, a lot of picks on the board, but simply put, this is really just about 2 players that I focused on, Shohei Ohtani and Alejandro Kirk. I mentioned in last week's stream that I was kind of kicking myself after game 1 because I was saying even before the World Series began that this World Series, to me, was clearly in tribute to Charlie Kirk. There are other people out there that, talk about the synchronicities with Drake, and then, you got the Kobe themes with the Year of the Snake and the Dodgers, etc., which are all still valid. But to me, just this Charlie Kirk stuff, ever since it happened back in September, I can't not see it. It's just screaming at me all the time. And I'm going to walk you guys through exactly what I'm talking about. So for those that aren't familiar with sports picks or sports betting, this might seem like a lot of picks, but it really came down to the fact that I liked Shohei and Kirk to both hit a home run. And strategically, if they do that, right, they're going to get on first base, second base, third base, and home plate. There's 4 bases. They would also bat themselves in as a run, so that's an RBI. So in other words, my point is if you ever like a player to hit a home run, you might as well spread your chips and put your chips, if you will, in other areas, knowing that if he does hit a home run, he's going to hit all these other bets too. So sure enough, that's exactly what happened with both Kirk and Ohtani. The link is right here for anybody that's interested in joining. Give me a shot. $50 depending on what tier you put on per month, comes out to about $1.30 a day. So we're going to dive into the notes. I did not, as you can tell, actually put out a pick on who would win this game because it, like oftentimes it is, it was very, very double coded. But I was saying in the chat that all things considered, it did look like numbers were favoring the Dodgers, and it turns out it took 18 innings for them to get that win. But here was the first thing I noticed. Yesterday, Monday, October 27th, was exactly 53 days after the founding date of Los Angeles, which equals 53 in reverse reduction. So simply there, you measure from their founding date, and in the base ciphers of gematria, Los Angeles equals 53, so they had that going for them. The other big one, too, notice that Dodgers and Toronto both equal 36 in reduction and reverse reduction ciphers. They share a lot of overlap, but the 36 especially, keep this in mind, because not only was it 53 days after Los Angeles, which equals 53's founding date, but the Dodgers, with a win over Toronto, they could pick up their 151st all-time postseason win, and they could do so against Toronto, which equals 36, 151, the 36 prime. Right. So those are the 2 main things right there that I thought were pretty solid. But I did put a big alarm here, and I said, listen, you guys, be careful, because sometimes the simplest riddles are the strongest. And it looked like it was very possible that the Blue Jays could have pulled it off. But I was just pointing out to the Patreon that, you guys, if the Blue Jays do win, though, they would improve to 9-5 in this year's postseason, where Blue Jays in the simplest cipher equals 95. Obviously, that did not happen. That said, we're going to now segue into Shohei. So take a look at this, you guys. I've said this often. I focus on founding dates, death dates, birthdays. surrounding any of these types of sporting events, as well as what's going on in the news, right? Charlie Kirk. I mean, it was only a month ago, but the rituals continue. So I was looking at Los Angeles' founding date, right? Means I have to look at Toronto's founding date, which is March 6th, the date written 3/6, like 36, like how Dodgers and Toronto both equal 36. Anyways, but when you measure from last night's game up to the next founding date of Toronto, you see that's 131 days later. And that's a huge championship number. Super Bowl also equals 131. But so does Shohei Ohtani, all in the simplest cipher, right? So in last night's championship game 3, exactly 131 days before Toronto's founding date, Shohei Ohtani can hit a home run, essentially. And that was the play. And sure enough, he ended up hitting 2, didn't he? Huh. So much so to where once they started getting into extra innings, they walked Shohei pretty much every time. On top of that, we know about the number of skull and bones, 322. When you take a look at Shohei's birthday up to last night's game, it was 3 months and 22 days. It reminds me of the legendary Dodgers announcer Vin Scully, who died a few years ago. So Shohei had the 131 alignment. He also had the 322 alignment, and he also had the alignment with the pitcher Max Scherzer, where the last name Scherzer equals 114 in reverse, right? So the game was exactly 114 days after Shohei's birthday, and now he's batting up against Scherzer, which equals 114. That's a big LeBron James number too, by the way. The king of LA now, right? So all of those things lined up, and once again, sure enough, he ended up hitting 2. The last thing I pointed out here, once again, these are all screenshots from the Patreon, was that Shohei was sitting on 162 home runs all time at home in his career. That includes both with the Angels and the Dodgers. And yesterday was also 16 weeks and 3 days after his birthday. So we can get that 163rd career home run, 16 weeks and 3 days after his birthday, 114 days after his birthday against Scherzer, which equals 114, etc. So congrats to those who capitalized on Ohtani. But here's where it gets really good, you guys. You know, going back to the Charlie Kirk stuff. So this is just so mind-blowing to me. My Charlie Kirk book probably got another 4 pages long last night after everything that happened. And I'm going to walk you guys through this. So the first thing, you know, if you guys can't keep the number 31 in your head, just remember 31's the 11th prime, and Charlie Kirk died at the age of 31, right? Well, keep in mind that last night's game was tied 1-1, and it was game 3, kind of like 3-1, 31. And look at this. They had both pitchers that started last night wearing the number 31 as I'm on minute 13 and there were 13 viewers. That's funny. So we talked about Scherzer. Well, he wears 31 for Toronto, and then you have Tyler Glasnow, who wears 31 for the Dodgers. And we've talked about Alejandro Kirk, right? So immediately I'm like, oh my God. So Tyler Glasnow, number 31, is going to bat against Alejandro Kirk after Kirk hit a home run in game 1 to bring the Dodgers to an 11-2 lead, kind of like how Charlie Kirk died with on the date leaving 112 days left in the year, etc. So this is where my head was going, you guys. I was like, Alejandro Kirk, okay. He's going to be batting up against number 31, where Charlie Kirk died at age 31. And he was reportedly killed by who? Tyler Robinson, right? Tyler killed by Kirk. Or, excuse me, Kirk killed by Tyler. And as far as some of the number alignments, you know, here's what I put in the Patreon. I said, you know, against pitcher number 31, Tyler, Alejandro Kirk could get his 56th career home run, which he did, in ritual to Charlie, which equals 56. Simplest cipher. Okay, so that this was Alejandro Kirk's 56th all-time career home run, where Charlie equals 56, and he did it against the batter named Tyler, wearing number 31. You guys see that? And additionally, I also pointed out that he could record also his 20th home run this season, which he did. Where 20 is a big death number, right? And then, my God, when it happened, shout out Steven, great point. Yeah, and we're going to talk more about this related to Freddie Freeman. But yeah, notice that he hit a homer in the opening game, game 1, and then his second homer comes in game 3, kind of like 31. Yeah, thank you for adding that, Stephen. So we talked about it was also his 20th home run of the season, including playoffs. Death equals 20. 20, a big death number. But look at this, you guys. Not only, so we just talked about this. It was his 20th home run of the season, right? Death equals 20. Well, what do I talk about a lot as well? Well, the number 4, right? The number 4 is heavily affiliated with the word death because it's pronounced the same way. The number 4 and the word death are pronounced essentially identically in Mandarin culture. So it's a big voodoo number, and it's related to death. So, of course, his home run comes in the top of the 4th inning, right? Not only that, Kirk hitting a home run against Tyler, Charlie Kirk killed by Tyler, right? But look at this. It was Tyler's 49th pitch of his game of the game. So in pitch 49, Kirk, which equals 49, hits a home run in the top of the 4th, the death number, to bring the score to 3-2, where Kirk equals 32 in reverse Pythagorean. Am I nuts? Is this not perfect? Whew. So keeping it moving. This is just a screenshot to show where I mentioned Freddie Freeman. And hold on just a second, you guys. All right, apologies. So as you guys saw from the first screenshot of the picks, I did not officially put out Freddie Freeman. Once again, kicking myself for the second time this series where I should have. But just notice that in the notes, I said here, on the contrary, after I was done talking about Alejandro Kirk, I was saying, does Freddie Charles Freeman hit a home run against Max Scherzer? Well, sure enough, Freddie Freeman, right? He hit his walk-off home run in the 18th inning. So Max Scherzer being the starter, sure as hell is not going to be pitching in the 18th inning. But besides the point, I mentioned Freddie Charles Freeman because of his middle name, Charles, right? And for those that don't know, the name Charles means free man. So Freddie Freeman's name is Freddie Freeman, technically, or Freddie Charles Charles. So with everything we've been talking about with Charlie Kirk and how Alejandro Kirk hit his home run against Tyler, where Charlie Kirk was killed by Tyler, to end the game after 18 innings, essentially tying MLB history for the longest World Series game, you have a walk-off home run by Freddie Charles Freeman. You kidding me? So congrats to anybody that caught that part in the notes and put a feeler out there for Freeman, or even jumped on him in a live bet in the second half of the game. I mean, 18 innings. That's 2 full baseball games. So sure enough, like I mentioned, Freddie Freeman hits his walk-off home run in the 18th inning last night. So another big part of the Charlie Kirk book that I already had written and in place, I just added this part now to that whole section. Shout out to Myron again, man. Myron, if you're watching, I can't wait to jump on our next live stream, man, because the stuff you've been on is insane. And shout out to you because you were the first one to really kind of point this out to me about the reason why the Dodgers played against the Cincinnati Reds in the first round, right? In another Charlie Kirk ritual, because Freddie Freeman, it's a little baseball history for you guys. For those that don't know, last year the Dodgers won the World Series and Freddie Freeman won the MVP. He also happened to hit a walk-off home run like he did last night, but he did it last year in game 1. So Steven was talking about how Kirk hit his home run in game 3 and then he had his first home run in game 1, right? Well, take a look at Freddie Charles Freeman, right? So he hits his walk-off home run in game 3, and then he also hit a walk-off home run last year in game 1. Okay. Now, last year was huge for him because essentially he kind of dubbed the nickname Kirk Gibson 2.0. Kirk Gibson was a Dodgers player back in 1988 who hit a walk-off home run in game 1 as well. So ever since Freeman hit that walk-off home run last year in game 1, he's had heavy ties to Kirk Gibson, Freddie Charles Freeman, and Kirk Gibson. See that? This is just a photo I want to say from earlier this year. It might have been opening night, where I believe, Myron, you're going to keep me honest here, but Kirk Gibson actually threw out a first pitch in one of the games. It might have been the opening of the season or something when Freddie Freeman came out and, they're doing their poses and whatnot for the cameras. So anyways, hopefully you guys can see this connection here. Freddie, Charles Freeman, and Kirk Gibson in the walk-off home run of the game where you had Alejandro Kirk hit his home run. Now, I don't have this in any more of my slides. I mean, I'll throw this in there. Just notice that Kirk Gibson wears 23, or he did, right, for the Dodgers back in 1988. Los Angeles, California equals 88 too, by the way. But look at that. Blue Jays, 23. 23 is arguably the biggest number connected with Blue Jays, in my opinion. So how about that for a connection as well? So I'll just rattle this off. I mean, I could share my screen as far as the draft of the book I have so far, but keep this in mind as well for another numerical alignment. Look at this. Think about this. So Freddie Freeman wears number 5, right? Well, last night's game was exactly 5 months after Kirk Gibson's birthday. Exactly 5 months. So Freddie number 5, exactly 5 months after Kirk Gibson's birthday, Freddie hits this walk-off home run in the 18th inning. What was the score? What was the score right before Freddie hit that home run? It was 5-5, wasn't it? Number 5 at the plate. The score is 5-5. Bottom of the 18th inning. Kaboom. So that about wraps it up. As far as what I have so far here, I did throw a little blink in here. This is just kind of a draft of something I thought would be an interesting book title. But I want to challenge the viewers again. Please shoot me a DM. Put it in the comments. Put it in the chat. Whatever. Let me know about what you guys think as far as book covers, book titles. I'm really leaning towards Charlie Bit Me just because it shares the same gematria as Charlie Kirk in 3 of the 4 base ciphers, and I did not know that. This title always kind of stood out to me, but then when I punched it into the calculator, I was like, oh man, do I fade that? I don't know. But anyways, we're at the 22, almost 23 minute mark, as we were just talking about 23. But I thought I would end it there. Catch up with the chat really quick. Steven, you said also Gibson. I'm not sure what you're referring to there. Maybe with regards to the 5s. Here's another thing I'll share with you guys, and I have no content on it. It's just something that kind of hit my brain last night. So is it kind of interesting, too, that Freddie Freeman's home run comes just before Halloween? And I believe let me check really quick. Is there a game on Halloween this year? I know there's another game tonight. Let's take a quick look. Yeah. Yeah, sure enough. So on Friday will be game 6 if necessary. So we'll see. But here's the point I was getting at. Like, I was just thinking more about the 5s, right, that we were just talking about. Well, think about 5 fingers on a hand. I wrote a book called The Hand. But 5 fingers on the hand, it makes me think about, what was it? A movie called Freddy Got Fingered. Makes me think of, Freddy Krueger with his creepy fingers. Yeah, shout out Sports Lounge Halloween. Yeah. The date written 10/31. You can slash out that 0. There's another 131 for you. Back to the Future. It's a Gibson. Yeah, I mean, there's if there's any other huge theme with this series, in my opinion, more so than Drake and Kendrick Lamar, etc. The Back to the Future stuff's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, what did the 5 fingers say to the face? Freddy got fingered. Freddy Krueger, creepy fingers, the 5-finger discount. I'm sure you guys have heard of that one before too. But I don't know. There's a lot of 5s that were just kind of splashed at the end of that last night's game. Freddy, number 5, 5 fingers on a hand. exactly 5 months after Kirk Gibson's birthday. I don't know. And then think too about with Charlie Kirk, right? What was one of the biggest things about, some of the conspiracies surrounding the footage of that? Did you guys see everything about the ring on his finger? How it just transferred? but it's a collapsible ring. Yeah, but I mean, if you look at it, there's no way it just moves from one finger to another. And then there's also that Donald Trump bit where he did his I don't know, he did his speech in the White House apparently, but there was that big AI glitch, if you will. I don't know if you guys saw that, but make sure to go back to check that out. But when he says Charlie was a patriot, you'll see his pinky finger disappear of all fingers. So anyways, there's a 5 and a finger kind of alignment here too. That's going on in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. It was just kind of singing to me last night, and I wasn't entirely sure what to take of it. So I'm throwing that out to the crew, to the fam, to see if you guys see anything else with regards to that. But mainly just staying on topic. I mean, Charlie Kirk, this just keeps going. And what did I say about, to open this stream exactly? I mean, the 31s are just crazy. The 31s are absolutely crazy. And what's the series at right now? 2-1, right? So consider this a free pick, but I have a really hard time fading that potential 31 now. Like the series can go to 3-1. Man, that would be a tough one to pass. But remember, like I said too, Blue Jays equals 23 as well. So if it does go to a 3-1 lead for the Dodgers, I would then be leaning pretty heavily on Toronto at least to bring the series 2-3. And the series would also be 3-2, wouldn't it? Just like Kirk. See what I'm saying? So keep an eye on game 4, the death number. Keep an eye on 4. We'll see. But anyways, let's see. Check in with the chat. Yep, $5 footlong. Goes back to the sandwich themes that Rambo's been on. And the Happy Gilmore stuff, which is in my book, The Hand. Pinky fingers represents Mercury. I didn't know that. I did not know that. Do all the fingers represent different planets and things like that? Wouldn't surprise me. And I guess lastly, Steven, back to the Gibson thing. I mean, what do you use to play a Gibson guitar? Your fingers, right? Interesting. Ooh. Thank you, sports. Yeah, happy birthday, Bill Gates. Oh my God, I forgot. Yeah. There was always something about October 28th. I was like, it's a big day. And thank you for reminding me. Yeah. Okay, Bill Gates' birthday, huh? Any Seattle teams playing today? It's the first thing I do when I know there's something going on with Bill Gates. Oh, okay. Middle finger is Saturn. Fitting. I'll have to look into that. I did not know that each finger represented different planets or signs of the zodiac. So that's very interesting. But all right. Well, I think I'll wrap it up here. Keep it under 30 minutes, short and sweet. You guys will see me again later tonight, 9 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern on Eye to Eye with AJ, Rambo, and Cody. So make sure to tune in for that. Typically, we do run a couple minutes late, but it's always better to be early, just in case. And I'll probably do a recap of this presentation to open tonight's show as well. So if you guys missed the beginning of this video, you guys can go back and watch it now, or I'll give a rehash on it tonight as well. So appreciate all you guys. We got to make sure we're being mindful of the time change that's coming this coming Sunday. So what are we doing? Spring forward, fall back. So just make sure to be mindful of that for next Tuesday's show as well. So anyways, Sports Lounge says, cheers, Coffee Girl. Thank you, AJ. Thank you so much, Coffee. Appreciate it. I'm sure I'll see you tonight. Same with you, Steven. Heart Flames giving me some education on astrology and the fingers. The middle finger is Saturn. The thumb is the sun. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely going to look into that. That's very interesting. So without further ado, we will close it there, and I will see you guys later tonight. Peace.